How's it going, y'all? Thanks for tuning in today. Wanted to discuss really the topic of leaving a legacy behind and what that looks like kind of in this new century, kind of comparing it to what we might have looked at on a species in the past. And I kind of break it into a few different categories. I'm really just going to talk about two main things that I kind of view as leaving behind different types of legacies and kind of deciding what you want to leave in terms of your mark on the world. We all want to leave a legacy behind. Biologically, most of us probably want to have children. That is a form of legacy, but I'm not really going to discuss that in detail today. Really wanted to discuss the two types of legacies that I think can really leave a mark on the world or categorize. First one would be, in essence, like a materialist or financial legacy. Examples of this would be like Bill Gates. Cornelius Vanderbilt is another great one. Some of these individuals also do like philanthropy, so they do probably do fall into both categories. The second category, which I'll discuss here in a second, is leaving a legacy of what I call the mind or innovation. That's what I'm more of a proponent for. However, a lot of us strive, we're taught as we grow up that, we need to amass wealth and we need to, in essence, try to leave our mark on society. And especially young men are really taught that, increase in status and wealth and whatnot is really how you leave behind a legacy. It's like your children's lives should be better than your lives, just like how your parents want your life to be better than how they grew up. And I'm a proponent of creating a situation for yourself and your family where you're able to live the life you want to live. Again, I don't preach a life of opulence. I think that goes a little bit too far. I mean, I really do believe there is such thing as enough wealth. It's usually less than what you think it is. Most people are like, I need $100 million, or I need $50 million, or I even need $10 million. And, $10 million would be great. A lot of people, I think, would absolutely adore that. But you could actually live off of quite a lot less than you would be surprised. It might be a little bit different in today's economy with all the inflation and whatnot. But, again, that's neither here nor there. And that was a major tangent. But getting back to the main subject, so people like Cornelius Vanderbilt, Andrew Carnegie is another great example. Bill Gates is an example of that. George Soros, in a sense, is an example of that, since the guy's extremely loaded and he's going to be leaving a lot of that money to his children, and he donates to a bunch of causes. And I'm not going to, you don't have to agree, or I don't really agree with the man. I just kind of I think that he is a little bit strange, but basically the concept is you can leave a materialistic style of legacy behind with just vast amounts of wealth, or you're known for your contributions to society via your wealth. Now, I think that there is benefit to that. I do think you should, again, give your kids the opportunities that you didn't have, and try to get your life into a position where you can leave behind a legacy for them to, I'm not saying live off of, but give them an advantage in the world. Because you'd be surprised, really, giving your future children, or if you decide to have kids or not, or whatever, that really does give them a leg up socioeconomically. It really does help. But I'm more of a proponent of a legacy of the mind. Now, what this is something regarding innovation and leaving almost like a cultural change, a major shift in the human experience and psyche, that you affect so many people that, in essence, you awaken them to truths in the world. And I think this is probably the most important thing that you could do and focus on. And how this is done and how you go about doing this is you find a way to add value to the world. And I say this, I've said this in probably every video, about finding a way that you can uniquely add value to the world without necessarily conforming to it. I don't think you should ever try to conform. I think you need to stand in your individuality because, again, strong individuals make a stronger society. And everybody has unique skills. Everybody has a unique set of values and a unique perception of the world that they can share. And it isn't necessarily right. Everyone has bias. However, trying to find something that you can add value to, like maybe you're really good at I don't know, maybe you're just maybe you're good at web design, maybe you're good at teaching other people how to grow, or maybe you're good at teaching businesses how to become the best business they can be. But everybody has skills and unique perceptions that really can add value to the world. And one great example of this, I would say, is Martin Luther King Jr. I think his value add really to the world was kind of awakening people to the idea of like what true equality is. And I'll say that again, equality, what true equality is, and loving your fellow man, and loving thy neighbor literally, regardless of their socioeconomic status, skin color, religion, whatever. You can apply it across the board, because I believe his message was deeper than just like, you can love people that are different race than you. I think he's literally was preaching like we can all love each other regardless of our differences, because it's just all these differences are just degrees of separation, and in all truth. It's funny because most religion, in essence, preaches the same thing. It's like believing in a higher power. It's just what they call that higher power is something different. And that to me is what I find kind of funny about religion, is that everybody actually agrees with each other that there is in essence some form of higher power. They just call it a different name. And I'll do a video on that. I think it's one of the biggest, I think it's one of the largest paradoxes in the world. It's like a thing that separates and creates this tribalism, and we're getting off a tangent, but it's just one of those things. But I think he left a really great legacy behind. I mean, he wasn't wealthy, he wasn't rich. His contribution to the world was his mind, his soul, and his heart. Another great example of that is I mentioned this in a previous video, is Oskar Schindler. He literally saved thousands of Jewish people from the Holocaust. And, initially it was an opportunist act to make some money during that war, but he then, in essence, completely changed his outlook to just helping people. And that legacy, it was amazing. At his funeral, thousands and thousands of people showed up. Descendants of other people he saved, the friends. I mean, that to me is a legacy of, I would say almost a cultural legacy, because he literally affected that many people's lives and all those descendants. And there's like tens of thousands of people that would not be here today if it wasn't for what he did. I think another great example is Nikolai Tesla. He made very large contributions to the scientific space. There was mind, which I would say we wouldn't have the current electrical state of the world if it wasn't for him, with alternating current versus Edison's direct current. He did tons of other things, remote technology, things that never really were revealed until after his death. It was sad because he died very. Not sad that he died a poor man, but he died a man that wasn't able to really, I would say, recognize his fullest ambition, just because the politics of the world at the time. Let me think. Another great example, and this is this is a little bit way back when, in ancient Roman times, when they were wearing their the helmets, and they didn't wear kilts back then. A cuirass, the bronze-plated metal thing that protects your chest from swords and spears and whatnot. But Spartacus. There's a show on Starz called Spartacus, and I hate to say that that's where I initially learned about this man. Learned about him a little bit in school, but Spartacus is another great example. He rebelled against the Roman Empire and pretty much started one of the greatest revolutions during that time. It was incredibly bloody, which is, not great. I abhor violence. I think it sucks. I think it's necessary at points, in defense of yourself and, others. But, and that's what that was really, defending the right to a free life, which it's funny because his name lived throughout history, and he wasn't wealthy. I mean, he was a literal slave and a what's the word? A gladiator. He was a slave and a gladiator that ended up leading one of the greatest free armies during the time. I mean, they ended up overall the movement ended up getting snuffed out by the Roman military. But you're going up against a force that's like 10 times your size. But the thing is, his message lived on, and he went down in the annals of history as one of the one of the greatest people advocating for freedom for everyone, in that slavery, in a sense, the ability to own another human being and dictate their life is just completely wrong, especially during that time when it was very standard. I believe at one point Rome had a third of their population was slaves, which is crazy to think about. That one in three people were slaves. That's kind of nuts to think about. But that was the old world, and just kind of how it operated, completely different type of economy. But those are just a few examples of kind of the difference between a monetary or a materialistic legacy versus a mind or cultural legacy. You can do both. I mean, there's a balance between. There's a balance in everything. I think you should always find balance. I think it's important to, of course, take care of your family and create a situation to where you can live a fulfilling life and not have to worry about finances, bills, and whatnot. So in that sense, I do believe leaving that type of financial legacy behind for your family, or if anything were to happen to you, they had the ability to take care of themselves. But I also advocate more, though, for finding really introspecting and reflecting on your experiences, the life that you're living. And if you're young, that's still something you can do. You can find out what you enjoy doing and figure out how you can apply it to the world in a meaningful and helpful way. Because, again, everybody has something that they can do that is unique to them, or at least a unique take on it. And, of course, there's crossover. That's part of the world. There's almost 8 billion people now that exist on the planet. But it's something that you should kind of figure out what mark do you want to leave on the world, because we only have a finite amount of time here in this form. You only get this particular body one time, and I view reincarnation as a likelihood, and I'll discuss why and kind of look into, and I'll do a separate video on that. But you specifically only have your consciousness in this form, this particular body, one time. So why not make the most of it and leave your mark on the world in the best way that you can? Everybody, in essence, has a role to play in this simulation, in this game, and play that role to the fullest. The fun part is you get to actually, once you figure out that we really are just playing one giant video game, it's beautiful, because you can understand that, like, you can actually choose the role that you want to play. Some roles fit you better than others, but the beauty of it is once you figure that out, you can determine what legacy you actually want to leave behind for people. And I always kind of view it like, do you want to be remembered for being like the just an extremely wealthy person, but you also were, and I'm not saying all wealthy people are nefarious and evil or heartless and cold and whatnot, but do you want to be known for your money, or do you want to be known for your contributions to society and the additions and the value you added? And hey, maybe that is monetarily, like you start charities and whatnot, but you're still using those resources to better mankind in a way, rather than just, I've amassed all this wealth. I do believe in, really, I think that finding a way to add something to culture and adding something to the human psyche, the universal unconsciousness, and awakening people to truths is probably the best thing you could do, because it's extremely rare that you have individuals that are willing to stand in their individuality with and in their own skin comfortably without judgment of others. Especially now when we live in a society where it's like it's like get with the program, conform, go with the grain, or else. And it's like, or don't fit in. And it's like, why do you need to fit in? Are you really fitting in with people that you aren't like-minded with? Is that really what you want to do? Why don't you venture out on your own, go against the grain, and figure out how you can A, become the best version, to add to the world, but B, just what you can add to the world, because we're only here for a certain amount of time, and there's no point on wasting it. It's like every moment's precious, so figure out what you want to do and do it. It's like, just write it down. This is where I see my life when I die. This is what I want to be known as when I die. This is what I want to leave behind when I die. Fill in the blank. Start with there, and then work your way back. Figure out how you can get to those goals, because it's just like goal setting, like how you have how you can set 1 year goal, 3 year goals, 10 year goals, 20, whatever. But you have a vision, and you can view that vision objectively, and you need to view it objectively. And how do you get there? How do you get to leave that legacy behind? Well, you set little steps, and you work on that every single day with consistency. So, again, figure out what you want to do with your life and what legacy you want to leave behind, because once you figure that out, it makes a lot of things easier, because you can create the life and develop your life and design your life in a way that reaches that goal. And, it's not going to be perfect. There's definitely going to be work along the way. Some people are more ambitious than others. And I don't think anybody's vision or dream is bad. I think everybody has something that they want to accomplish in this life, and a lot of us forget what that is, which is pretty sad, because we, in essence, get brainwashed by society to tell us you gotta work, you gotta work a 9-to-5 job, you gotta do this and that, you gotta make ends meet. And I've worked in the corporate world for almost 5 years now. I have nothing against 9-to-5 jobs. I enjoy them. I enjoyed working at the companies I worked for quite a bit. I like the people. The work was interesting for the most part, but it got to this point where I was like, Jonah wants to add something to the world. I also just spoke in third person, which is a little odd, but I want to add something to the world myself. I don't necessarily always want to work for somebody else, to have, work for somebody else's dream. And, that works for some people. There's people that's what they want to do, and that's their contribution, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But for those of you that this message reaches, I do believe that there's a reason why it reached you. So go for it. Just do it. I mean, that's the thing. Literally, you got to just start, figure out what you want to leave behind, and just make a plan to get there. Because planning is the first step, and it honestly is the most important step. I'll leave you with this adage before I sign off. When cutting down a tree, the most important part is really sharpening your axe. It's funny. It's Abraham Lincoln. I think that's who it was. It's like, when planning to cut down a tree, you spend 4 hours sharpening your axe and 1 hour actually cutting down the tree. The reason is because if you're hitting a tree with a blunt axe, it's going to take a lot longer than hitting it with a really sharp axe. So make your plans and execute on them. And I'll leave you with that. So if you like the video, I wouldn't mind. It would be awesome if you hit subscribe, hit that like button. If you want to have any discussion or have any thoughts on this content, please leave a comment. I will get back to every single comment that is there. And hit that notification bell. I try to post daily. Again, I'm also going to be doing some more long form content. This is kind of long form, but a little bit more story driven content with some actual topics in mind that are a little bit more fleshed out rather than kind of me just speaking to the camera and y'all. So again, thank you for tuning in today, and I wish you have a great day.